Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Darrell Owens, and this is another episode of One on One here on the Legacy Maker Sports Network. We're very excited. Episode 107, and it's the NFL Power Rankings. We're already in week 3. We talked about this a couple weeks ago, and I said I do not want this bad boy to go fast, but it's starting to crank up just a little bit. But we are excited to bring you the Power Rankings this week. Not gonna go lingering along, but there was so much that happened last week, so let's just get into it, man. Let's go ahead and get into week 3 of the Power Rankings here on 101 and also airing on Bowie Television in Bowie, Maryland. Let's get this thing going.
One, 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 one. Welcome to the one-on-one. When it comes to ratings, man, we number one. I get the truth, then I give them the scoop. If anybody got a question, I give them the proof. Welcome to the one-on-one. When it comes to ratings, man, we number one. I get the truth, then I give them the scoop. If anybody got a question, I give them the proof. Welcome to one-on-one at Legacy Maker Sports Network.
Oh, everyone, we are here, episode 107 of One on One here on the Legacy Maker Sports Network, and super duper excited because we're entering week 3 of the NFL Power Rankings, and it's just an exciting time in the NFL. A lot of weird movement early in the NFL. We see some teams that are 2-0 that are a lot of teams are surprising at 2-0. We see some teams that are 0-2 that are really surprising, Bengals. So it's an interesting dynamic. And so, as a disclaimer, if I give every week, but I go ahead and give it just in case, because I don't know why I even give it, because people don't I don't know people even pay attention to it. But of course, our power rankings are based off of how the record, because here's the deal. You can only beat who's put in front of you. So if you don't like it, well, this ain't the power rankings for you. Anyway, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get into it. And you know what time it is. It is time for the bottom. Going to be a couple of surprising people there in the bottom. But it is what it is. I mean, right now they haven't looked that great, so we'll talk about it. Let's go ahead and get into it. The bottom, to get going, we start off at number 32 and the Arizona Cardinals. Now, I'm going to tell you this much. I really thought that Arizona would probably be a little bit higher, because the way that game started on Sunday, Arizona was up 28-7 over the Giants. The Giants were definitely going to be at the bottom. Once again, the way that thing was going, the Cardinals was definitely trying to solidify themselves as not the worst team in the NFL. But they gave up that 28-7 lead, and they let the Giants score 24 unanswered points to win that game 31-28. As you can see, the Giants got a little bit of a boost because of that this week, and they're at 24. But this Cardinals team had their opportunities, and they just couldn't pull it off. But I was impressed by Josh Dobbs. I thought Josh Dobbs had a really good game, and he was really trying to make things happen. He's making the most out of this opportunity in Arizona, and for me, I hope that either this sticks for him, and maybe he can get another starting job at some point. And maybe he continue to get opportunities, but I'm loving the fact that he's getting the opportunity right now for Arizona, and he's played hard. And so I want to give kudos to him. James Conner had 23 carries for 106 yards. He had a pretty decent day for the Cardinals. But Daniel Jones finally showing up, that $45 million that he got from the Giants, 321 yards, 2 touchdowns and an interception. Jalen Hyatt, the rookie, 2 receptions for 89 yards. We saw my man, Isaiah Hodges, who I still have hidden on my fantasy team. He got a touchdown in this game, but the Giants needed this victory. It was a big win for New York because it was looking really skeptical. I might have destroyed that word, but it wasn't looking good for the Giants. So they pulled it off. They win 31-28. At 31, speaking of 31, the Houston Texans. The Texans, tough one against the Colts, losing 31-20. The Colts lost Richardson early in this contest. They lost their number one pick, Anthony Richardson, early in this contest. And the Colts are 23, as you can see here on the power rankings for those who are watching visually, are 23 on the power rankings this week. And they got off to a nice jump. They were up, I believe, 31-10 heading into the fourth quarter. So they were in cruise control. But I like what I saw from the number 2 pick of the draft, CJ Stroud. He had 384 yards and 2 touchdowns. And I think even though they lost, I think that he made some strides as a QB. It's still early. It was good to see the two of the top 3 quarterbacks kind of go at it, and hated the fact that Anthony Richardson went down with that concussion. Hopefully he'll be back this week as they take on the what's that team they take on? The Baltimore Ravens. So as they take on the Baltimore Ravens, we're hoping for a good matchup there between Richardson and Lamar Jackson. But the Texans will be at 31. At 30, the Chicago Bears. Chicago fought a little bit against this Buccaneers team. And I thought that, Chicago would at least, they did a little bit better than they did against Green Bay. We'll put it that way. But they're still, in my opinion, they're exactly where they need to be. They could be worse on this list, but it's still early. The only thing that's their saving grace, in my opinion, is Justin Fields. They have Justin Fields at QB. That's the only reason why they're not last with 31. And I think they just have the better of the other 2 quarterbacks on this on the list so far. But the Bears, tough go at it. Just wasn't a great game overall, but they hung in there. But they lost 27-17 to the Bears. They're at 30 on our power rankings. 29th on the power rankings, the Carolina Panthers. Carolina, Monday night, taking on the Saints at home. And you know what? They hung in there. They fought hard. They ended up losing 20-17, but they just couldn't get it rolling. Bryce Young had an all right game. And, you can tell this team is kind of still young. I think he was able to hit Thielen on a touchdown pass. So they're still kind of young. There's a lot of things still going there. But, the Panthers losing to a, division rival in the Saints, who are now 2-0. And I know people are going to be like, I picked the Saints even before they are 2-0, before they were 2-0, to be in the top 10. And I've got a lot of grief from that. But so far, so good. And we'll see. It's still early. But the Panthers are at 29, and I still see some bright spots. I think Bryce Young is getting better. It's still not perfect yet, still kind of young-ish, I guess you can say. Just give him some time. We'll see how it goes. Panthers at 29. At 28, the Denver Broncos. I personally got a chance to sit and watch the Broncos play Russell Wilson and the crew as I was out there with Bowie Television, my girl Candy Waller, our president of Bowie Television. We were out there covering the game for the TV station, and it was a great game. Back and forth battle. You saw the Broncos get off to an early jump, 21-3. It was looking like it was going to be a disaster. The Commanders bounced back, got all the way to I think right before the halftime was like 21-14. They got all the way back. They were down 24-21 entering in sometime in the third. They took the lead, took an 11-point lead, almost gave the lead up after that great Hail Mary from Russell Wilson to Johnson. And, the 2-point conversion was knocked away. Commanders end up winning 35-33. So Broncos are 0-2, and there's still a little drama going on there between, Payton, Sean Payton and Russell Wilson. So maybe they'll figure it out. Who knows? But what I will say this, it was a great experience. Really was nice to I got to see Peyton Manning out there with DeMarcus, whereas they were celebrating the 25th anniversary of their Super Bowl, where they defeated the Falcons. So it was a fun experience. Pretty cool to see. Got to talk to Rob Walton. For those who know who I am, I used to do commercials for Walmart as Mr. Rollback. And so Walton, I met him 13 years ago when I was doing the commercial. So I went up to him, shook his hand, and said, "Hey, don't know if you remember me or not. And as we talked, he was like, "Oh my goodness, it's you, Darrell. How's everything going?" It was a good conversation. But anyway, that's besides the point. The Broncos at 28. 27, the New England Patriots. The Patriots, for the second straight week, were in a tough battle against a tough team. You know, they had the Eagles in week 1 and they lose 25-20. They had the Dolphins here in week 2, 24-17. I've always said this about the Patriots team. No matter what, they're going to be competitive. As long as you got Bill Belichick as your coach, they're going to be competitive. Unfortunately, just weren't able to pull this one off against an extremely tough Dolphins team. They're 0-2 right now. They're 27. I still feel like they're going to move up at some point on this list, but they're 27 for now. At 26, here's a surprise. The Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals lose a 27-24 game to the Baltimore Ravens, and it just hasn't looked good. You know, Joe Burrow got hurt again or re-aggravated the calf injury. So the Bengals are kind of in a flux right now. I don't know if he plays this week. If I'm Cincinnati, I might not play him until we know that he's fully healthy. But you may not be not be able to afford to do that if you're the Bengals. So you got something you got to really figure out there. The Ravens looking a lot better than they did in week 1. A tough division opponent, able to get a dub. You know, Gus Edwards had 10 carries for 62 yards and a touchdown. Lamar Jackson had 237 yards with 2 touchdowns. He looked good. T. Higgins came back into fruition for Cincinnati, 8 receptions for 89 yards and 2 touchdowns. He is going to get paid big time in the offseason. Whoever gets T. Higgins in the offseason, if the Bengals don't re-sign him, they're gonna be in great shape. Cincinnati's at 26, but hopefully they can get Joe Burrow back ready to roll. At 25, the Minnesota Vikings. First week, tough loss to the Bucks. Week they get into week 2. They got a Thursday night game, short week, and another tough loss to the Eagles. They came back in the game. Kirk Cousins right now is cooking, and it may not look like it. You know, he's got 6 touchdowns on the season. He's I believe he's first or second in the league in passing. He's having a great year so far. They just haven't won the game, so that's the kicker to it. And part of that is something I've talked about early in the season, and that's that defense. That defense is not good. And so even with all that greatness from Kirk Cousins, Jefferson had 11 receptions for 159 yards. They lost 34-28 to the Vikings. DeAndre Swift, the running back for the Eagles, who came over from Detroit in the offseason, had 28 carries for 175 yards. We'll talk about him a little bit later, and 1 touchdown. So great day for him, great night per se. And the Eagles win that one 34-28, and the Vikings are 0-2 and 25 on our power ranking. 24, we talked about the Giants. They're at 24 right now. We talked about the Colts. They're at 23. 22, the Vegas Raiders. Wow, they got demolished by the Bills, 38-10. I thought it would be a little bit more of a competitive game. It just happened not to go that way. It just did not go that way at all. It was a bad deal overall for the Vegas Raiders. But Josh Allen got back to Josh Allen things, 274 yards, 3 touchdowns. Gabriel Davis, who a lot of people said disappeared after that great playoff run a couple years ago, 6 receptions for 92 yards and a touchdown. Not a lot from Diggs, but great day for Davis. And their running game, James Cook, you know, Dalvin Cook's little brother, had 17 carries for 123 yards, and that's what they've been looking for. They need that piece in the running back. But a great day for Buffalo. They got Washington this week, so I'll be there, you know, doing photography. Can't wait to see Josh Allen in person to see if he can handle that Washington defensive line. That's going to be a fun matchup on Sunday from FedEx. Raiders at 22. 21, the New York Jets. This may be generous. This may be generous for the Jets, but it was a rough day against Dallas. But Dallas defense is special. Dallas won that one 30-10. Tough day for Zach Wilson. But the Dallas defense looked absolutely phenomenal. And the Jets are going to be one of those teams where they're going to have to figure out as the year go. And that's where we are. So the bottom, Cardinals, Texans, Bears, Panthers, Broncos, Patriots, Bengals, Vikings, Giants, Colts, Raiders, and Jets. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the bottom this week. So, yeah, there we are sitting at the bottom, nice and pretty. And now it's time to go ahead and get into it. It's time to go ahead and see who's knocking on the door of the top 10, but not quite there yet. Let's check out the outside looking in. And looking at these teams, there's a couple teams that some were in the top 10 last week, not this week, but some were in the top 10 last week. Some started the season as the number one team, and they're battling their way back into the top 10. But with all that being said, let's get into this. Number 20, the Pittsburgh Steelers. A win on Monday night, a nice win against the Browns, 26-22. I had the Browns winning that game because I thought they're going to take that momentum from week one against the Bengals and put the full effort into it and really make things go for them. Now, you're going to probably say, Darrell, well, shouldn't the Steelers be above the Browns? I still like the Browns overall. Even though I still like the Browns overall, I like the quarterback position. I think the quarterback position for me does a lot when it comes to these rankings. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to trust your quarterback, and I got to trust your quarterback a lot. And right now, I do trust Deshaun Watson just a little bit more. But Pittsburgh did absolutely great, and they fought hard. Tough thing for the Browns. Losing Nick Chubb is just an absolute disaster. They may have an amazing young man in Ford. And so, Jerome Ford had himself a really nice day coming in, the young man from Cincinnati. He was a 5th-round pick in 2022, but he had 16 carries for 106 yards. They also signed Kareem Hunt yesterday. So signing Kareem Hunt back, I think that gives them some security to go along with Ford. And I will say, I'm just going to bring this up real quick. So I have a fantasy league where one of the guys, the owners in the league, two of the owners in the league have been trying to make this trade where they've been trading Mike Evans for Jerome Ford. And we vetoed this trade multiple times. We vetoed it twice now. And there's a big argument in the group about, how to run the team and all that stuff, whatever. But here's the thing. Even though I'm one of the people that vetoed, and I'm not ashamed to say, I have a feeling that we may be all wrong and Ford's going to have a great year and we should have let the guy get the trade. But you're not going to tell me that Ford is better than Mike Evans. I'm just throwing that out there, and it is what it is. And if I'm proven wrong later, great. I'm man enough to say it. And if they still want to make the trade a couple weeks from now and Ford's balling out, I will gladly give him the okay. But right now, until I see more, that's where we are. I just thought I'd get out there. All right, so Steelers at 20, Browns at 17. At 19, the Green Bay Packers. Green Bay might have been in the top 10 this week, but they gave up a lead against the Atlanta Falcons where they were up 24-12 heading into the fourth quarter. They let the Falcons score 13 unanswered points in the fourth to win the game 25-24. Desmond Ridder had 237 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. Bijan Robinson, the number 7 pick overall in this year's draft, had 19 carries for 124 yards. Drake London, after a miserable week one, comes back, 6 receptions, 600 yards. I'm trying to hook him up. 67 yards and a touchdown. Now, what makes me sad is I had to take him out of my fantasy and one and put him back in. And I thought, it's going to be another bad week. But then he shows up, so touche. Thank you, Drake. But it was just a great week for the Falcons fans. I know they got to feel pretty good. As you see, they're not on the outside looking in, so they can only be in one other place. But they were able to come back and show some resilience. Thing about the Packers before I move on, and this kind of hurts my feelings, but you know how that goes. The Packers had their chances, and they just look stale. They look very stale in that second half. So if you want to know more about the Packers and how things are going, check out my All Packers podcast, Green and Gold Over Everything. And you can check that out now on the Legacy Maker Sports Network on our YouTube page, all that fun stuff. Okay, shameless plug. But the Packers are at 19. At 18, the Lions. The Lions, once again, back-to-back years, another amazing battle with the Seattle Seahawks. And so last year they went into this crazy overtime game and Seattle won. Guess what? They went into another overtime game, and guess who won? Seattle won again, 37-31. Geno Smith had 328 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had an amazing day. Lockett, I believe he threw both touchdown passes to Tyler Lockett, and it was just an amazing day for the Seahawks. The Lions hung in there. They did see David Montgomery get banged up after his 16 carries, 67-yard day. Amon-Ra St. Brown has 6 receptions for 102 yards. So the Lions, I think they still will bounce back from this. They got the Falcons this week. I don't know if they're going to beat the Falcons this week, but like maybe telling a little ahead of time. But with that being said, Seahawks move up. They're at 16 on our power rankings this week. The Lions are at 18. So moving up to 15, the Chargers. I thought the Chargers would be in the top 10 after this week. At least I picked them last week, and then the Titans showed up. Derrick Henry had 25 carries for 80 yards and a touchdown, and helped lead the way to get the Titans their first victory of the year, winning 27-24 over the Chargers. As my man Lamont Thomas would say, this is a very Charger thing. The Chargers do stuff like this all the time, and it's absolutely insane. And I don't know why it keeps happening, but it does. And they've got to figure some way to fix that. It's absolutely sad. it's a sad, sad deal that this continues to happen. I just don't know why. But this Titans team every year, when I may think I'm going to count them out for whatever reason, they find ways to say, hey, don't count us out. So, hey, the Titans, they're 14, and the Chargers are 15 this week. Next, number 13, the Los Angeles Rams. Now, the Rams did lose last week, but they hung in tough with a division rival and a team that was number 1 on our power rankings last week, the San Francisco 49ers. It was a 30-23 game, and the 49ers had 2 late turnovers, but they were able to hold on in that matchup against it. Matt Stafford, another great day, 300 yards passing. I'm not going to say great day, but a decent day. 300-yard passing, a touchdown. He had 2 picks, and those 2 picks didn't help at all. But Puka Nacua, Puka Nacua, 15 receptions, 147 yards. So he's leading the league in receptions. I don't know if he's leading in yards, but he's definitely leading the league in reception. He's having himself a great first 2 games of his NFL career. So great start for Puka Nacua. And then, of course, Christian McCaffrey, 20 carries, 116 yards, and a touchdown. Once again, leading the way and pushing that 49ers team ahead and ahead and ahead as they look very, very dangerous right now in the NFC and in the NFL in general. So LA at 13. At 12, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Tough loss to the team that's at 11, the Kansas City Chiefs. It was a really tight game. Chiefs still seem to be struggling. We talked about this in our group chat, the Legacy group chat, and with the team, and it's just funny to see, how it kind of goes. You know what I'm saying? It just doesn't feel like they haven't been able to get things going offensively now that EB is gone. Eric Bieniemy, and so maybe Bieniemy is not as bad as what people were trying to make him out to be. Maybe he's a lot better than what people were trying to make him out to be. But there it is. They did pull off the win 17-9. Tough game for the Jaguars. They had some chances, just couldn't do it. And the Chiefs will be 11 this week. They're the closest knocking back into that top 10, with the Jaguars being at number 12. All right, so we head into the top 10 now. So I hope you're ready. Let's get it started. Who's in the top 10 this week? Let's check them out. My power rankings for this week. Let's go ahead and get into it. Number 10, the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills are a team that, for me, every time that I get a chance to see this Buffalo team, I say to myself, they're getting better and better. Or not saying getting better, but they struggled in week 1, but they got better. We saw week 2 the Buffalo team that we expected. I think that's what I was really looking forward to say. We saw the Buffalo team that I expected to see throughout the season. But this is the Buffalo Bills MO the last couple of years. Like, they'll play games, you're like, what is this? And then they'll play games, you'll be like, now that's the Buffalo team that can win a Super Bowl. And so the first 2 weeks of the season, we got both of those signs. We saw a Buffalo team, and you're like, what is that? Then we got a Buffalo team that team can win the Super Bowl. Buffalo Bills are at 10. See you this week, Buffalo. At number 9, the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons, man, I got to give them credit. They fought hard in that Packers game, and they showed some resilience, and they were able to get the win. They beat up on the Panthers in week 1, and now they head to Detroit And I'm not gonna lie because I'm not sure if they're in Detroit or in Atlanta, but they take on Detroit, and when they take on Detroit, it's going to be a critical matchup here. I think some of these NFC teams are going to be on the cusp of making the playoffs as the playoffs get, as we get a little bit further down the road. These matchups are key. That's why I thought the Packers really needed to win that matchup against the Falcons, because you don't want it to come down to the end of the season and they got that advantage over you. And that's just going to be the same in this matchup for either team. So the Lions and the Falcons are going to really, it's early in the season, but it could mean a lot later on in the season. The Falcons are at number 9. At number 8, and this might be a first. I don't think they've ever been in the top 10. I don't think they've ever been in the top 10. Maybe once back a couple of years ago, but the Washington Commanders are number 8 this week, winning the first week against a very tough Arizona team. I'm gonna say that people they've been tough in both weeks, but they're young, and well, it's just different. But I'm proud of that team anyway. But the Commanders, big win over them. They beat the Denver Broncos in a battle in Denver to move to 2-0. And so we'll see number 8 take on number 10 this week in the power ranking. So one of these teams are going to move up in this top 10, and the other is going to slide on out, more likely, of the top 10. But this Commanders team, Sam Howell looked really good in that second half. Really good in the second half of that game. Watch out for Sam Howell. He is going to be special. I've been saying that for a while. I really have a lot of confidence in Sam Howell and this Washington Commanders team. EB's got him looking really good. Commanders at 8. At number 7, the Tampa Bay Bucks. Bucks have won both games. They had the Vikings in week 1. They were able to beat the Vikings in week 1, which, I was surprised about. Then they go and they beat a Bears team, which I wasn't surprised about, but they look good in both games, and Baker Mayfield looks pretty good. So Bucks are at 7. At number 6, the New Orleans Saints, and they probably don't deserve to be this high on this list, but they fought through and they won their first 2 games. So far, so good for the Saints. They take on the Packers this week. It'll be the Packers' first game at home as they take on Jordan Love makes his home debut. So it'll be a very interesting game between the Saints and the Packers this week. But once again, one of those games is going to be very critical down the road for playoff positioning. Number 5, the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens, with their win over Cincinnati, they're at number 5 this week. They're looking good. They got the Colts this week. Should be another win, but hey, you never know. We got the Baltimore Ravens at 5. At 4, the Dallas Cowboys, who have been outstanding. 70 points in the first 2 weeks. Dropped the 40 bomb on the Giants last week, and then they said the Jets, it's your turn. They've outscored New York football team / Jersey football team 70-10 in the first 2 weeks of the season. And that defense is for real. They are Super Bowl caliber defense. Watch out for the Dallas Cowboys. It is early, but their defense is dangerous. At number 3, the Philadelphia Eagles. Some people argue that the Dallas should be above the Eagles, but I don't think the Eagles have done too much to really lose their spot. Tough matchup against the Vikings. They get a win, and Hurts and the crew did what they needed to do. So I got Eagles at 3. Number 2, the Dolphins. The Dolphins, get their win in their matchup against the Patriots. Another tough matchup, but the Dolphins did what they needed to do. Once again, no reason for them not to be at number 2 for a second straight week. And at number 1, same here, same way I feel. No reason for the San Francisco 49ers not to be number 1 again on the power rankings this week. That team looks like they're going to be dangerous all the way around. So there it is, your top 10: Bills, Falcons, Commanders, Bucks, Saints, Ravens, Cowboys, Eagles, Dolphins, and 49ers. So there it is. There is your top 10, or your top 10 and your overall power rankings heading into week 3. Now let's go ahead and finish this bad boy up. It is time for the finale. Finale, of course, we got a couple things we're gonna get into. Let's talk about the players of the week for week 2. And 1, we're gonna give our offensive player of the week to DeAndre Swift. 28 attempts for 175 yards and a touchdown and a win over Minnesota. They brought him in after letting Miles Sanders go. They got a little bit younger. They brought him in to kind of do some good things, and that's what he did. He did some good things. Once they are fully healthy at running back, they're going to be a extremely I don't say extremely problem because that doesn't even make sense, but they're going to be a problem, this Philadelphia Eagles team. So watch out for DeAndre Swift and the Philadelphia Eagles as the season goes along. And staying in the state of Pennsylvania. So the state of Pennsylvania out here getting good things going. Alex Highsmith, what a day for him on Monday night. He had 7 tackles, 1 sack, a forced fumble, an interception, and a touchdown against Cleveland, making him our defensive player of the week. And this Pittsburgh team, whenever you start to count them out, it feels like this is the type of thing that happens. You start to count them out, and they find a way to get a win. And so I don't know what it is, but that's just how they roll. And they did what they had to do, and they got the dub. So the state of I almost said Philadelphia, the state of Pennsylvania. I'm tongue tied. I'm tongue tied this evening, y'all. I'm tongue tied this evening. But the state of Pennsylvania getting the players of the week. Now, let's head to the top 5 MVP candidates. Now, we got 2 new members into this. That's right. You see it on number 4. But number 1, Tua, he hasn't done anything, in my opinion, to lose his spot as the number 1 guy for the MVP early in this NFL season. Number 2, McCaffrey, who's sitting right behind him, who had another great week last week. Watch out for him. Hill also in that mix, where I feel like that combination of Tua and Hill are going to, at some point, one is going to outbalance the other. But for now, we got Hill still at 3. And then at number 4, Puka Nacua, the young man who's just doing amazing things for the Rams right now. He has come in and filled in for Cooper Kupp beautifully. 25 receptions to start off the season. He is rolling right now for this Rams team. We're going to give him number 4. He deserves that. And at number 5, Kirk Cousins. Yes, Kirk is 0-2. He's the only one on this list that hasn't pulled off a win yet, but his numbers have been really good so far this season. 6 touchdowns, only 1 interception. I believe he's first or second. He's in the top 2, top 3 in passing yards in the league as of right now. And so Minnesota's going to win a game at some point. They still got to figure out that defense, but there it is. There's your top 5 MVP candidates heading into week 3, coming out of week 2. So far in the season, 21-11 on the season. I went 11-5 in week 1. Week 2, sitting here at 10-6. So 10-6. I don't feel bad about how this week went. I shouldn't have picked the Jets. That's where I made my mistake. I thought maybe if the defense comes around and they can make it a low scoring affair against Dallas, they can do it. So don't worry. I had friends of mine, fans of the show, tell me, you picked the Jets, right? So I got to take that L. I didn't make that mistake this week. I definitely picked the Cowboys this week. So with that being said, 21-11 heading into week 3. I feel really good about my picks in week 3 as well, but we'll get to that right now. So Thursday night, tonight, we've got some Thursday night football as the San Francisco 49ers take on the New York Giants. I don't see this being close. I'm being nice by giving the Giants 16 points. I just, last week I almost hit the nail on the hammer. I think the final score was 34-28. I said it was going to be 37-27. So I was close. I got the winner right. Thank you, Eagles. I feel really confident about this one. San Francisco is going to I think San Francisco is going to take good care of me in this one. But I got San Francisco winning 31-16 over the Giants. And to be honest with you, they probably could win by more. But like I said, I was being real cautious. I think the Giants after last week will take advantage of where they were and make things a little bit better. But I got San Francisco. I mean, San Francisco's to me right now is the best team in the NFL as of right now. And they look too good. So I got the Giants losing to 49ers 31-16 in Santa Clara. All right. And so last but not least, here are my picks for the week. Now, as you know, we're doing the NFL Pick'em League at Legacy Maker Sports right now. I'm sitting in second place overall. I'm second in the division, but second place overall. Joey Raymond leads the way. He is 22-10, and I'm 21-11. So Joey's got the early advantage, and then we got I think 4 people that are at 20-12. So it's still early, and this week could change the balance of power. But Joey is leading the way right now. So congrats to Joey on that front. No Lone Rangers this week. We do have a couple clean sweeps also in the experts pick 'em. So, and for those who don't know what clean sweeps are, that's mean every expert picked certain teams to win. San Francisco is one of those clean sweeps. We got San Francisco, Baltimore, Jacksonville, Dallas, and the Chiefs, all clean sweeps. Every single one. Every single expert picked those teams to win this week. So I got San Francisco, Buffalo, Green Bay, the Ravens, the Titans, the Dolphins, the Patriots, Falcons, Jaguars, Vikings, Seahawks, Cowboys, Chiefs, Raiders, Eagles, and Rams. Those are my winners this week. That's where I'm going with. I think the Rams are going to, especially with the not knowing with Joe Burrow, I got to go with the Rams. So there it is. There's my picks for the week. And we're done. We are done here. Episode 107 of 101 here on the Legacy Maker Sports Network. Once again, glad to have everybody with us. It is Thursday night, and we are ready. We are ready for Thursday night football between the Giants and the 49ers. But like I said, every week, make sure that you go out there and you enjoy some football between now and throughout Monday. If it's high school, if it's college, if it's the NFL in some form or fashion. I will be enjoying 2 of those this week. I got some college. UVA takes on NC State. Brennan Armstrong comes back into town after being, after transferring from last season to NC State. So that'll be an interesting one. And then, of course, Commanders and Bills on Sunday. So Josh Allen comes into FedEx to take on Chase Young and the Washington Commanders. But once again, everybody, thank you all for tuning in to episode 107. Enjoy the game tonight. Enjoy football this weekend. And we will see you all next week on Thursday for episode 108. Oh, man. Can we just not rush it? I don't know, y'all. I don't know how it is. But anyway, we'll see you all soon.
Legacy Maker, the All Sports Network. One. Welcome to the 101. When it comes to ratings, man, we number one. I get the truth, then I give them the scoop. If anybody got a question, I give them the